I identify as non-binary.
अम्मी की बड़ी सुना मोहब्बत गुनाह नहीं है।
I identify as non-binary.
अम्मी की बड़ी सुना मोहब्बत गुनाह नहीं है। हमने सुना मोहब्बत पुरानी है।
Pride is a magical thing because it is completely untouchable by the outside world. No law, no judgment, no opinion can come near it. Pride lives inside you. Pride is your ability to know who you are and that who you are is beautiful and perfect. Pride says living my truth is an expression of love. Good evening to one and all present here. Today, we are here to have a spirited and insightful panel discussion on the topic sustaining Insti pride. We will delve into how important it is to create spaces for LGBTQ communities in university campuses and what role they fulfill. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our moderator, Anvesh Pokuluri, all the speakers, and our esteemed audience. Anvesh Pokuluri is an IIT Madras alum and was the lead petitioner in the Supreme Court of India on behalf of Pravriti, a pan-IIT LGBTQ plus networking group, to read down Section 377 in 2018. His mental health and sexuality story has been published in Young Mental Health by Simon & Schuster in 2020. He talks about his coming out movement and appreciates how well everyone he knows respected it. He encouraged that we should always come out to ask for help and should speak to others about what's going on with us. Among the list of speakers today, we have Priya Sharma, the representative from Saathi IIT Bombay. Saathi is IIT Bombay's LGBTQ plus support and resource group, one of India's oldest such campus initiatives. It is committed to provide a safe space for LGBTQ plus identifying individuals and engage with different stakeholders to push for a more inclusive campus experience. Next in the line, we have Abhay Kumar, representative Indradhanu IIT Delhi. Indradhanu IIT Delhi is a club set up in 2013 at IIT Delhi. It aims to create a safe space for the LGBT group at their institute. The club also played a remarkable role in decriminalizing homosexuality in India. In 2018, the club, in support of NAS Foundation, filed a petition to review Section 377. Next, we have Sri Lakshmi, representative, Anchor BITS Pilani. Anchor is a gender and sexuality cell of BITS Pilani. It is the first of its kind, BITS's only group of queer questioning and supporting members and is led by the students from various campuses of BITS Pilani. They attempt to start a dialogue across the campuses about gender normality and sexuality. They're a safe space and an active listening platform for queer students and anyone in need. Next, we have Rakesh Kumar Dua, alumnus IIT Kharagpur and a representative from Ambar. Ambar is a gender and sexual diversity resource group for the LGBTQ plus community residing in IIT Kharagpur campus and or officially associated with IIT Kharagpur. Ambar's vision for IIT Kharagpur is a campus devoid of discrimination against minorities based on gender and sexuality, where such minorities feel safe and free. Lastly, we have Rohini Dikshit, the representative, Vannam IIT Madras. Vannam is the student-led LGBTQ plus organization at IIT Madras. Founded in 2014, it has functioned primarily as a peer support group for members of community and has also organized sensitization events and movie screening on campuses. Now, I hand it over to Anvesh, who will carry on with the discussion.
Thank you, Yashita. So, we'll start with the rationale for these kind of groups at campuses, why we need to have these kind of groups, and how this helps the students uh, in the larger well-being. So, let us first let us first, I think, try to understand what is the general campus culture and why do we need to have these kind of groups. Rohini, since you are at IITM, what is the general campus culture at IITM currently? And yeah, why do we need a group like Vannam?
So obviously we can't generalize too much about the campus culture. It's a bit of a mixed bag, because you have such a diverse set of students on campus. You obviously have people who come from, say, big urban cities and they have sort of awareness, who find it easy to come to terms with it. And you also have people who maybe did not have access to such information and are generally more conservative. As a part of an article I wrote for the media, the Fifth Estate last year, I did a small survey among the people of Vannam, and most of them felt they would not really be accepted if they came out to their friends. They felt like the homophobic culture in the campus took a toll on their mental health. People would out the students without their consent. They would be treated differently once they revealed that they were queer. And there's also an idea of an ideal gay, someone who does not make a big deal out of it. Otherwise they would be called too gay. Seniors do agree that there was a lot of change after the 2018 judgment for the better, but there still remains a lot of misconceptions and lack of awareness, which is why there is a need for groups like Vannam or Ambar or Indradhanu as a support group for people to meet each other within the community, as something to inculcate awareness, to build allies, and to build an open and accepting environment in campus.
Right. I guess that is a common problem for especially students who are at young age, who have many of them who might not have had resources before coming to campuses to understand their sexuality, and after coming to the campuses to how to express their sexuality. So I guess, yeah. Abhay, do you want to add about the situation at Delhi? You're muted.
Abhay, we are sorry, you're muted.
Okay. Am I audible now? Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say that things here on our campus are very much similar to what Rohini said for Vannam. And as much as the campus culture goes, there is no active exclusion of students who are queer and students who are other marginalized groups like Dalit and Bojan. There is no active exclusion by the student community, but there is more of a systemic exclusion, if I could say that. And also, as far as inclusion goes, the student bodies and the administration, they put in no to minimal efforts to that sort of inclusion, and the whole culture works on this assumption that everyone is cis and everyone is straight and every other thing. So yeah, that's generally the scene.
Yeah, so the support groups we have at, I mean, it is vital for us to create these support groups at campuses because these can help larger communities to be formed, and individuals don't have to, you know, not every individual has to reinvent the wheel at every time and try to uh, come up with look at resources and find their expression and all of that. And this could help, I mean, this could help improve the general well-being of the students, especially from the queer community. Do you want to talk about the effect on well-being in the absence of such a safe space, Rakesh? I mean, you were one of the founding members at Ambar, Kharagpur. And so what did you feel like before Ambar was established, and what was it like? This is the effect on your well-being.
Right. So yeah. So firstly, I would like to say that Anahita, our founder of Ambar, she was already the governor of the Students Welfare Group at IIT Kharagpur. And during that time, within 2 months, two people had already committed suicide in the campus, 2 students. And it was becoming more and more apparent for the need of, student welfare groups and queer support groups. Secondly, being LGBTQ plus ourselves, we felt that it would have been it would have been good for our self-growth, awareness, and mental health that if there was a support group in campus and the amount of motivation or belongingness it would have provided. So that was another thing. And also we had already heard about Saathi IIT Bombay, and we had seen the effect it had on the student community at IIT Bombay. So before there was nothing, and now we felt that it is needed and it was high time that we had a queer support group in campus. So that was, yeah.
Certainly, yeah. And at IIT Madras, we have Vannam. Vannam has been present at IIT Madras for 5-6 years now, but it has been a fledgling organization as such. And Rohini, how do you feel about this? I mean, there's a body in place, but it's not very structured. It's not very active. And so, even though there is a body in the institution, is there any what is it like for your general well-being? What do you feel?
Right, so Vannam was established in 2014, and it conducted a lot of events in 2016 to 17. So in that year, it conducted a training sensitization program, which was a little hard to conduct because of opposition from the admin side. And there was also a queer movie screening conducted by the Kashish Film Festival. But it's not been very consistent. In 2019, which is the year that I joined Insti, there were only 2 just informal meetings conducted. And over 2020, last year, because of the pandemic and the general low levels of energy and motivation, nothing really happened because the organization does not really, other than say a few active members, it does not really have any formal team. And some of it can be attributed to the lack of formal organization. So earlier, before this year, the Vannam members did try to ask for official recognition, but they could not find a faculty advisor. Fortunately, we did find a faculty advisor this time. So hopefully getting the recognition will help us increase and maintain the level of activity in campus.
Certainly. Yeah, I mean, a group like this, especially in times like these, pandemic, and students are at homes, and it may be harder for queer people, especially when they are at homes and they may not be able to fully experience the Insti culture or the general, I mean, understanding that they can expect about queer resources if they were in Insti, and right now when they're at home, it may not be the same. So, Sri Lakshmi, do you want to weigh in on that? Anchor has been functioning, and you have activities across campuses, and so how has it been functioning, and how has it been helpful at this time?
Right. So the thing is that even when back Anchor started, it was always a group of people. The thing was all online because back then Section 377 was there. So things were not out in the open. It was Discord servers or some things like that where it was, the queer community, the students from BITS used to talk together, flock together and talk about the common topics. Now that the Section 377 has been removed, we are talking out in the open, and we are working in all campuses. One of the major reasons for that is when we talk about LGBTQ plus community, one of the major things that we talk about is it's not a campus specific thing. All three campuses are BITSians. So, which is why it was important for us to, work in all three campuses at the same time. We didn't want to weigh in on one campus only. So, it's not. I mean, the technical part of it is because if you have to conduct, if you have to, contact, collaborate with, say, English club, then we have to talk to three people in the three different campuses. So the technical side of conducting events is a little difficult, but then we have always had support from the students, so it is not that, it's not difficult. And over the past 1.5 years since the pandemic started, we have been working all online through workshops and seminars and, conducting, because like you said, students are at home and stuck, and, they don't have a way to let out. So keeping that in mind is how we have been working. We have been trying to keep it active so that students, whoever are watching it, they know that, okay, fine, there is somebody out there whom we can reach out to, whom we can talk to, even if the environment at the house is not nice. And we have received people like that. We have seen people reach out to us on our social media or on our mails who, who wanted somebody just to talk to, just someone who could, just listen to what they're going through. And we have had that. And I think when you receive something like that is when you think that, whatever we're doing is at least helping somebody. So yeah.
Certainly, yeah. Yeah, so I guess we can establish that groups like this help in making the spaces at universities more inclusive and more generally positive. And I just wanted to add this, a trend that I've seen outside, especially post 2018. I mean, so when I was in campus, I graduated in 2014, and it was before much of the apps and before Netflix, and also in 2013. 377 was reinstated by Supreme Court, so it wasn't very easy to be uh, out and to be talking about it. But so recently, what I noticed, especially on apps like TikTok, I could see a lot more people creating content, queer content, and posting it online. And so I mean, this, I guess we could see how I mean, social acceptability has been in place, and I mean, the nature of inclusivity versus exclusivity and the shame associated with it is probably more in systems that are traditionally uh, dealing with power dynamics, but outside, the acceptability is, I felt that it was much more different than what we see in campuses like ours. And but anyway, going forward, to run these sort of groups, especially at IIT Madras, Vannam has been in place for so long, but it has been fledgling because for many reasons. I mean, to find different members to carry on the activities and to carry on different activities at different times and all of it. So I guess, Rakesh, do you want to weigh in on that? What were some of the hiccups that you had faced when you were founding Ambar? How did you find other members? How did you establish this group? What was the friction like with the admin?
Right. So, firstly, I mean, we did not face a lot of issues with respect to finding members because first it started with Anahita. She and her friends first joined the group, and then somebody knew somebody else. And so, very quickly, we had like a group of 10 to 15 like-minded people who wanted to start a group and who wanted it to move forward, who were completely motivated. So that's how it started, and we started by having events, and the flow went on. And currently, Ambar is functioning in a very very good way, and we have like a proper, very organized structure. So during the orientation session for the freshers, talk is presented to the freshers, and then a form is circulated. I'm sorry for the background noise. A form is circulated, and then I'm really sorry. So a form is circulated among the students who want to join Ambar, and then an interview is conducted to know their intent, and then they are inducted into Ambar. And there are a lot of events, organized throughout the year and not just Pride Month, and it has been going quite well. With respect to admin, I would like to say that we have not been officially recognized yet, but the talks are on. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. Abhay, at IIT Delhi as well, Indradhanu has been in place for a long time, but it has also not exactly had a very solid structure as such. What are the hiccups that you have been experiencing? If Vannam could also learn from that, and like across campuses, this may be similar. Even if a body is established, what are some of the things that you experience to keep it functioning over time?
Yes. So, like Rakesh said, founding a club is very easy, but sustaining and maintaining it over time is quite a big deal. And the main problem that we've had with Indradhanu is that there is no structure and central sort of hierarchy, which, like most clubs, they offer positions of responsibility, PORs for the executive positions and stuff. So the students who are participating, they have some sort of incentive, and so the work is done, events are executed, and it goes on. But within the thing is that we're all volunteers, and we're all volunteers, and it's hard to manage all the events, and no one is particularly responsible for one thing, and it becomes sort of hard to manage. And the other thing is, when it comes to admin, we've had a lot of hurdles, just like I'm sure all the other campuses. So it's been hard to maintain Indradhanu as a functioning body on the campus.
Right. We can, Priya, you have been at Saathi, and Saathi has been successfully thriving at IIT Bombay. What can you share with the other groups? How do you regularly find people? I mean, how do you keep functioning? What is it different? What is it different at Saathi that makes it more successful over time, that keeps it sustaining?
Yeah, Anvesh. So like Abhay, Rakesh and others have mentioned, one is the struggle to found a club, which, there was a huge struggle when we did We founded Saathi in 2011, but as everyone is rightly pointing out, to sustain it is again a struggle. So for us also, we have had those spells. I have been with Saathi for 6 years now, but we have had those spells where for say 6 months we are not able to do anything. So even at Saathi IIT Bombay, which is one of the oldest clubs and is seen as a kind of club which has been fairly little more successful in sustaining, we also have had our dry spells wherein we did not have active members, or the members who were active had graduated, or for example some of us had our research works to turn in. So there have been those times. I feel for us it has been always that we have kept the conversations going, no matter informal way or an informal way. So even if we were not able to maybe say do some big event in any month, we will just keep the conversations going. We'll just keep having meetups that help sustain. But I would certainly say that once we got formalized, like once we got institutionalized, and that happened after say 9 years of our existence, so that certainly helps, because then there is a council in place which will be again selected the next session and next session, so that gives continuity. So I'm pretty sure that all the clubs here either are trying to get institutionalized or they are already, and it helps administratively to keep that sustenance alive. But otherwise also, I guess for us, we also had our fair share of not being institutionalized. Like we were like that for 9 years out of 11. But I guess it was as I said, we also had faced the same issue, wherein at times there'll be, like Rohini was saying, there might be some active members, then they're not there, they graduate, they get busy. But I guess these regular meetups really helped us sustain. And yeah, I really wish that each club here gets faculty support and gets the support from the administration and gets institutionalized, because that's very, very crucial for running a club administratively smoothly. So that's there.
Certainly, I guess an institutional recognition will unburden the students somewhat, because it won't be just on the students to keep it going. And certainly, like you said, I guess even if the activities are not happening throughout the time, I mean, for the community members just themselves to keep meeting regularly, I guess that could still keep the morale up. I mean, they don't have to go through their struggles individually. I guess that would certainly help any group sustain over time. And so for sustaining these sort of groups, so we've talked about hiccups, but then if we come into the structuring and the kind of activities that we can look at, so I mean, I guess one of the thoughts I have, one of the concerns I have is that, I mean, these sort of, especially places, especially bodies like this, which are about promoting inclusivity and equality, these groups have a more responsibility for themselves to be more equal. And so I guess, I mean, but in the campuses are not exactly equal. Not all groups find it the same to come out openly and have this conversation. I mean, so Rakesh, do you want to talk about some of this? I mean, when you started Ambar, what sort of different members did you have, or was this just a cis gay male club, or how did you exactly create the space, expand the space to include everyone?
Right. So in the starting, we did not have a formal structure. Like currently, we have a structure of governors. In the group, there are governors and then there are members. And governors are chosen every year, I mean, by the passing batches. So that thing was not there, but we had, like, first in the starting, we tried to create an online presence. So we had meetings to choose the group name. Then we had meetings to choose the group logo, and we created a Facebook page. And the motive was to create an online presence, which is very important in this digital age. So that was one of the first things that we did. Then we had with association with, in collaboration with other members, other clubs and committees in the campus, they helped a lot. So there was a campus climate survey with the Scholars Avenue, which is the English magazine for IIT Kharagpur. So that gave us what is the student, the idea, to get a feeling of what is going on behind the student community. So that helped. And then there was a very good, very viral article that was written by Anahita, which went viral, absolutely everywhere. So that helped in creating a name and creating, popularizing the name of Ambar. Then for the physical presence, we had the very first event that we had was a movie screening organized in association with Kashish. A movie screening in association with Kashish, and that was very successful, which was followed by a panel discussion with prominent LGBTQ activists and members in and around Kolkata. So that was highly successful. And then we had a collaboration with IIT Kharagpur, where we invited Harish Iyer, which was very popular. By that time, within these few months, Ambar, everybody knew Ambar as an identity, as an entity. It was the acceptance rate was quite high, and it was really amazing to see all that. And then we had a slot, we had a spot in Springfest, and we had small events organized. So those things really helped. And currently, there are, a plethora of events that are being organized in campus by Ambar to, popularize, for queer sensitization and everything. So we have as I mentioned before, orientation session is there. And then there are workshops conducted for freshers for queer sensitization and how to be a good ally and all these things. And then also we have regular collaborations with the quiz club. So in this Pride month, so there was a Pride quiz, which is being organized in association with the quiz club. Then there was a panel discussion being organized with in association with the debating society. Then there are movie screenings and Pride, a lot of things. So these all, since now there is a formal structure of governors and members, all this is helping in, continuing the tradition and keeping the flame high.
Thank you. Rohini, at IIT Madras, what do you notice? Is it equally easier or harder for everyone to come out openly and be a part of such a group? Or do you think it is somewhat harder, maybe, say, for a girl to come out openly as lesbian or a bisexual woman, or like a transgender student, or even from someone who's like a research scholar, they're not exactly as networked as the undergrad students are. So how can groups like this attract them more, and how can it create a more reasonable space for everyone?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, it is not equal at all. As I mentioned before, you always have the urban-rural divide. Even when you see the panel here, we're all from the big IITs. Where are the smaller IITs? I doubt they would even have a LGBT organization now, or maybe for a few years also. And about the men and women, I think it's not very simple, because while men face problems, such as the toxic masculinity culture and making gay jokes, women also tend to be fetishized when they come out as queer. And with regards to gender expression, you have the problem that it's a lot more visible. Like if you're just walking in campus, and if you're cisgender, you're not likely to be noticed. But if you visibly look different, that is not the case. Last year, I believe, on Instagram, there was a post by a non-binary student who came out. It was quite a powerful and heartwarming post. And within my friend circle, the reception was good. But then I met people who made some very derogatory comments about it. So I realized, okay, I can't, my bubble is not real. So another thing is, so I'm from the HS department, and while obviously I can't say that they're all accepting or that other departments are absolutely not accepting, the kind of conversations that we have in campus make it easier to be open-minded, and that is the kind of image other people also have of us. They see us as being too liberal, and it might be easy to find a small group of friends who you're out to who is accepting, but the question is that enough? Is it enough to have that one small group to share your secret with and still have to hide it? And I feel even within our WhatsApp group, there is not everyone is active, and while that's the case with most club WhatsApp groups, you have active people and inactive people, but I think because of the kind of organization we are, there's a lot more imperative to ensure that everybody has a voice. So I think we are planning to conduct sensitization sessions with the freshers from the upcoming batch onwards, like Rakesh mentioned, because Vannam still does not have a presence. Even in my fresh year, we only came to know of it halfway through, and it was still just a WhatsApp group where we occasionally had meetings. It did not have a campus presence. So hopefully that will change over the next few years.
Yeah, so I mean, so this is again one of the key areas a group should look at when we are talking about sustaining the group, because not only will the group be more active and more wholesome when we can have members from all sexualities, all genders, and also, I mean, make it easier for those who may otherwise find it harder than some others. I mean, and this can be the case for even caste communities. I mean, not just for sexualities or genders. I mean, someone from an upper caste community may find it harder to come out openly in IITs, because, I mean, they're more visible or they're more privileged, but it's certainly not easier. So, I mean, groups like these should be mindful of this since the inception and throughout activities to keep it more, I mean, so that it, because not only that, I guess it also, if the group is not more diverse, it could also end up creating a monolithic queer identity of sorts, which the messaging of it's also somewhat dangerous. I mean, and it could alienate some other members, and it could make it harder for someone who doesn't conform to this once monolithic queer identity, right? I mean, so that is again one thing I guess we should keep in mind. Next, we'll go to the role of faculty and admin. Priya, at IIT Bombay, what is it like? I mean, you have a faculty advisor, you have a constitution. How does it help the group? How is it a part of the structure?
So in our case, Anvesh, having faculty support actually helped us being in campus at the first place. So our first faculty advisor, Professor Sharmila Srikumar from HSS Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, was our founding member as well. So our faculty had a huge role to play to convince the administration that we need a group like Saathi. So there were students, of course, across departments, but we also had strong support from the teaching as well as non-teaching staff. So having faculty advisor really helped us firstly to, to exist at the first place. And secondly, even before we were institutionalized, because that has happened just last year, even before that, there have been multiple times wherein, we have had mixed interaction and relationship with the administration, where at times it will be very easy to get things passed, but there'll be times when it won't be easy at all. So even I remember when for the years when I was leading that, I would go with a letter and it would not get accepted easily. So our faculty advisor, Professor Sharmila, really, played a crucial role there. She was just a call away, and she would write an emphatic letter to the administration, making a point that why it is important. I remember we had when Section 377 was read down in 2018. So we were trying to celebrate its first anniversary in 2019, on September 6th, like a lot of our friends here. But there were some hiccups in organizing some event. And I remember our faculty advisor writing such an emphatic letter to the administration, laying out in very, in crystal clear terms why it is important, why it means so much to the members of the community and for others as well, to acknowledge the impact of that judgment. And a lot has to be done. Everyone acknowledges that. But, even to celebrate these small things or even to get anything else going, I think it helps if you have the support of faculty, especially in campuses like ours, because see, by the end of the day, there is a power dynamics that comes into play, where students trying to mobilize something and trying to, ask for something, though it should not be like that, but it is like that. We do have power imbalance, we do have power asymmetry, and that is where teaching and non-teaching staff comes handy. So our faculty advisor has had, a great role to play, and even to kind of, it's not just about these few events, but otherwise also, if you have someone in faculty, it is easier for students also to be, they are not always under the threat of what will happen if someone gets to know that we are having a meeting or we are having an event. So having faculty by your side always helps. So that really helped in our case. And I'm sure in like Rohini was saying that, getting faculty support has really helped them also to get their events going more easily. And in terms of constitution, of course, having a constitution in place helped to make our case with the administration in more emphatic way. That, when we wanted to get institutionalized, the first thing we were asked was, where is your constitution? And for us also, me and my colleagues who wrote the constitution and gave it to the administration when we got finally institutionalized, we had a document as a template, because people who had come before us had thought of it already, had written down few things for us, and we took that constitution and we reframed it, restructured it to make it more contemporary, and then we submitted. So that is one thing that I would want to tell everyone here who is still trying to get institutionalized, that keep your document ready, where you lay out what is this club about, what are your objectives. Once you get institutionalized, what will be your council, like? Who are different members in the council? What would be their roles? So it's good to streamline that. It's good to have that in one place because it helped us to kind of, sorry about the lights. It helped us to make our point more strongly with the administration. So having faculty support and having a constitution, having a written document in place always helps. And that was a great deal for us at IIT Bombay to get.
Thank you. Rakesh?
We do not, I'm really sorry for the background noise. Constitution is very, very important. So one of the first and foremost thing that we did was, create the constitution. And I would say that we borrowed it heavily from Saathi IIT Bombay and from the constitution of Saathi IIT Bombay. And it was, made it as per the IIT Kharagpur campus and the ongoing situation there. So one of the first and foremost things was writing down the constitution, which helped in making it more official, though not official, but formal, that there would be such and such structure and how the working and functioning of the support group would go. So that was one of the first and foremost things that we did. So constitution, though we have not been officially recognized yet, so that helped in being successful, I would say, till now. Then talking about faculty, again, I totally agree with all the points that Priya mentioned about the support of faculty, because without the support of faculty, a student group would not function properly. We need the faculty permission to conduct events, to book venues, and there are several other things for which we need the support of faculty. So one of the first and foremost things other than the constitution that we did was which faculty advisor to approach so that they could back us. So at that time, we had meetings, brainstorming, that there were so many faculties and who would be more, who are more likely to support us. So one of the professors that supported us was the professor in charge of the counseling center. So she was very vocally supportive. Also, we had, one issue was that she was not in India at that time. She was abroad. So, and in her absence, we had the tacit support of the counseling center as well. So that helped. Again, during that time, during the initial phases, we had the support of the Student Gymkhana Vice President, who before his election as well in his manifesto and in his proposal had mentioned about the presence and the need of a queer support group. So that, and he got, he got the Vice President role. So that was very, very helpful, in creating a more strong presence. And still talks are underway to get the institutionalization, but things are functioning good.
Yeah, so I guess this help in stabilizing the system so that not every to go through the same ordeal again and again. And also it helps in, making a clearer structure as to who can make decisions and what is the role of admin. Like, I mean, there's the division of responsibility can also be certainly helpful. And like Rakesh mentioned, I guess, I mean, if we include the psychiatric and psychological support systems as well, that would be really helpful, because for students in the campuses, I mean, most of us are stay at hostels. I mean, now is a different time, but staying at hostels and don't really have to go out for much. So counseling services within the campus could certainly have a more positive effect on, I mean, for groups like us especially. And going forward, I mean, I guess another key factor that we can look at is the role of allies. I mean, so other than the members of the community themselves, I mean, a lot of your groups as well have allies in the system. And because, I mean, they can keep the activities running, and not only that, they can sensitize the larger student body, general student body. So I guess allies do also play a large role in systems like us. So Priya, what do you say about that?
Yes, so you're right, Anveshan. It's not just about gender and sexuality movement. It's about any movement, for that matter. Allies always play a great role, and I think it is also important to lay out how to be a good ally. So that we all we know that there are a lot of people who are well intentioned and who want to support, and we need that kind of support system around. But it is also important to recognize that how to be a good ally. It is also important to recognize one's own privilege, and to keep educating ourselves about different things. And for that matter, I am an ally. And I have been with Saathi for 6 years. Saathi has been inclusive enough to give that space to allies as well, to come out, come and support, and to be at the decision making positions as well, because it is important to have allies and the larger group also come together and work in collaboration. So working in collaboration is very important. As an ally, one is not there to speak for someone or to speak on behalf of someone. We are not here to speak on behalf of the community members, but with them and in collaboration with them. So that is very important, I feel. And I believe in spaces like ours, where it is not very easy for people to come out at the first place. So no matter, there might be, a much more number of people from the community than we see on campus. So it becomes all the more important because we are majority of allies in that traditional sense, because not a lot of people maybe are out or they are questioning or whatever. It's up to each its own. But given we have majority of allies, it's important for everyone to come together, and for any movement for that matter. But something which is very important is to keep in mind that, to keep checking our own privilege and working in collaboration to get the movement going, and to make sure that wherever we are, and it's something which is in continuation. It is not like that, okay, I am an ally and that's about it. We have to keep working on it. We have to keep educating ourselves and people around us, and continuously keep working on it, keep checking our surroundings, being aware of things. And as I said, there might be times where, like for example, when I for me, academic training helped. So I came from, say, an undergrad in science, but in my master's, I was in a social science department before coming to IIT Bombay. So for me, academic training helped. So some people get to know about things academically, some people get to know it by experiencing. So when I came to IIT Bombay, I was so impressed that we have a group like Saathi at a technological institute. I didn't expect that. So for some of us, it is academically that we are trained in a certain way, like Rohini was saying that, she coming from HSS Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, at times, it is academically you are trained, you're in an environment where you will understand these things, but we need to keep checking our own ideas also, because when I got here and I got to be the part of Saathi at IIT Bombay over the past 6 years, there have been so many times that I have questioned myself, okay, I was so patriarchal, I was so homophobic at this, and you have to keep that, you have to keep educating yourselves and keep checking your own privilege. So I believe allies have a great role to play, but also have the responsibility to be responsible allies. So that's there.
You made a lot of valid points here. Sri Lakshmi, what is the role of allies at Anchor? I mean, do you also include allies, and what is their role in the system? And how do they strengthen the body as such?
Right. So the thing is, back in 2013, when Anchor was founded itself, it was formed with allies. So it was basically a group that discussed about gender and sexuality issues on campus, and it was not it was not like it was only for queer students, even like, because at that time it was not possible to come out because it was not legal. But at that time also, it consisted of allies who were out there to discuss about topics that they were not aware about, to discuss about what could happen on campus and all of that. So even since then, allies have been a part of Anchor, and even now, while we are functioning, we do have allies in the group. I think that there are two major reasons for having allies. The first is that, as a queer student myself, I know when I go to a campus, I know that the student queer community there is going to support me. But at the same time, when I see that there are allies also, there are students who are not part of the community and yet in support of the community, I feel that the campus is much more safer space, right? Because it's not just the community fighting for themselves; it's everybody. Like, it's there others also who are out there speaking and making the space safer for you. And secondly, I think, like a lot of people have mentioned, the students that come into all our campuses are, fresh out of school from different backgrounds, who have different kind of information, right? So when you're creating content, or when you are working for those students also, as a queer student, as somebody who has been brought up in a way where I have had the privilege to get information like that, you often overview or overstep the basic facts. So when if there is a student, a 17-year-old kid coming, maybe he doesn't know the full form of LGBTQIA plus, which we just take for granted, that, oh no, we don't need to talk about that, everybody should know it. But it's not the case. A lot of students coming to all our campuses didn't have that opportunity. So when you have allies in your group, you get a different perspective of discussion. So whenever we are talking about something in the group, okay, tomorrow we are planning on doing something like this. So when you have allies in the group, you get a different perspective of the topic, because as a queer student, as a queer person, you're bound to read more about this thing, right? You're bound to read more about the community, but allies might not be, and I'm not defending them for that, but it is how it is. So when you get their perspective, I think it becomes easier for you to sensitize the general public, right? Because that, okay, this also might be needed to, this also we have to cover, because there's a chance that they might not know this basic thing also. So I think that's why allies are a big part, should be a big part of communities like this, communities like ours, because, it's necessary to cover all bases when you're working for something like this. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess allies form again an important role, play an important role to keep the conversation running with the general student body, and also remove the burden on the community members to some extent to keep the body running, so that, because many of us, when we enter the campuses, we are still in the process of exploration and understanding ourselves better. And if we can create a safe space for ourselves to keep going on that journey, and the allies can take the responsibility of the sensitizing the larger student body, that could definitely be very helpful. So allies do have, and also because many of, the reached a more level of self acceptance can lead the group in the future years or something. Excuse me. So yeah, because many of the students are still undergoing that process of self-acceptance, allies certainly have a role. But like Priya said, it's not that they can take up the ownership of the take up the privilege of talking on behalf of the community, but to keep the general conversation going. So yeah. This leads us to another question as to where is the balance? Because this groups like this are different from other student bodies in IITs or in other campuses, because they have they have come together for an objective. Within the through their time in the campus or something, but this is a more different kind of a group. So the objective of groups like us is, there is a certain implicit responsibility for it to safeguard certain interests of the community, but also keep it open for the larger student body and play a role at sensitizing. So where is this balance, and how do we achieve that balance? Abhay, are you there? Rohini, do you want to weigh in on this? Where do you see the boundaries? To safeguard the interests of the community members as well as expanding to the larger student body.
Yeah, so I think Priya and Srilakshmi both made a lot of good points, and I feel you cannot gatekeep allies completely out, because as you said, the point of a group like this is not just support within the community, but the larger sensitization. And without allies, you cannot achieve that. And even on the administrative side, if the administration sees that it's not just the community, it's other people also who support, so there are large numbers, we are more likely to get support. And with regards to the balance, I'm just going to speak from my experience. So over the last year, our activities have mostly been online. So in my year, when we were added to the WhatsApp group, it was just word of mouth. But to the new batch, we thought it would be better to circulate, say, should we circulate a WhatsApp invite link or should it be a Google form? Now we were afraid that if we just sent out a WhatsApp invite link, the cost of entering a WhatsApp group is much lower than walking up to a meeting. We were afraid that, there would be homophobic people, or even there might be a lot of people who are willing to learn but may just ask ignorant questions. Now, then you have to make a trade-off between maintaining the safe space for the existing queer students and getting people to learn. I don't think there's a solution to that. That's just something that you have to cross the bridges as they arrive. And one more thing why allies are important, I feel, is because when you have a spaces that in the community and allies, there are, as I think Priya mentioned, there are a lot of people who are not out yet or are still questioning. If you allow them to come as allies, they don't have to reveal. Otherwise, just being there would mean that they are part of the community, and a lot of people would be uncomfortable with that. So if you have a space with both those people, there'll be a lot of people just willing to be there because, oh, my straight friend is there, even I'll just go there. So I think that is important as well to maintain the balance.
Thank you. Sri Lakshmi, do you want to also weigh in on this? Where is the balance? How can groups like this find the balance between protecting the interests and creating a safe space versus sensitizing the general student body?
Right. So, I can talk from what Anchor does is, we have this group where it's all of us, whoever are, involved in the Anchor activities. It's a mix of students. We are never, when we got the new students, the process was something similar to how Rakesh said for Ambar. We floated a Google form and, had students fill up the form with a couple questions, and then there were interviews for them. So that's how we selected the students. And we didn't ask particularly if they were from the community or something, because people don't want to reveal that in the first go, right? Because you would think that they don't want you to tell, they don't want to tell us that. So we didn't ask for that, all those details. We just threw a few questions to know their how they're working and how they think. And once the students were on board, so now what we do is, whatever content or whatever work we do discuss it together, and we see what they think and what, arrive at something. But when it comes to Anchors working as a listening platform, as a support system for queer students themselves, it's usually the queer students in the community that talk, because the allies might not have gone through the situations that the student is trying to convey, right? So it's a thing that we have already told the group, the students, they know that if somebody is reaching out, then it is a part of the queer students in the group to take up that part, because even they are more comfortable with that, and you are a better support for them than the allies, because they might not have gone through situations that they're trying to mention, right? So that is how we balance in Anchor, that when it comes to speaking, or when it comes to talking and becoming a support system or a safe space, it's the queer students. There are few of us, and we also talk through Anchor, right? So it's not, our identity is not revealed, and as queer students, I don't think we'll reveal the identity of the other person either, because we understand what that privacy means to us. So that is how we function, and I think that's a safe boundary to have, because in that way, you're trying to balance both of it, and you are propagating inclusivity also. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We'll move forward to keep the group running. Apart from structure and how to create the safe space, we also need more presence and activity. So what are the different kinds of activities that are at place in your organizations? I mean, like, say, Abhay, do you want to weigh in on this? What are different kinds of activities that are currently in place at Indradhanu at IIT Delhi?
Hi. So I'm so sorry for all the disconnectivity problems. Thank you for the question. We've had many events and activities in the last 2 years that we've been more active than before. Most of them have been in collaboration with other groups because we do not have any significant funding to our own group. NSSR at our institute has been a huge help to us. We've had movie screenings with them. Last year we had Margarita with a Straw, which is a story about intersection of disability with queerness. And just this month we had another short film, Geeli Pucci, which was intersections of caste and queerness. So we are always trying to have events that are inclusive, and NSS has always come through with help on that. Last in 2019, we had before the campus was down, we had Pride Week.
Looks like he got disconnected again.
Yes, I think we
it
have
was a very
connectivity.
successful event. Quiz Clubs, they regularly help us with organizing events. We've had panel discussions on the literature festival of ours with many queer activists like Harisha and Aishwarya Subramaniam. Yeah, on our own, our campus presence and the events we can manage are very limited, but we try to have some kind of virtual events and meetups and discussions. Yeah.
Thank you. Lakshmi, because especially your organization is different in the sense that you function across campuses, what are different kinds of activities you undertake, and yeah, how do you keep the group running?
So for us, it's basically when we are conducting an event. For example, we did with ungendered challenge where gender stereotypes were broken by students, or with the current hashtag that's going on, that's Pilani with Pride. We usually it's a thing that we are doing, right? So we reach out to all three campuses and different clubs in those campuses, and take their help and collaborate with them for different events. But that is when we are trying to do something, when we are trying to conduct a workshop. So and when it's something like a workshop or a seminar that is not related to a particular topic or something, we directly connect with the student union, the presidents and all of that, and they have been helpful. All three campuses have been very helpful towards us, so that's how we function. If it's specific, like we have had art competitions and poetry competitions, so during those times we reach out to those specific clubs in all three campuses, and figure out a time when students are free, and when they are available, when they don't have any activities going on. So that's how we collaborate with those clubs. But at the same time, if there's somebody reaching out from their side, for example, if it is a club, particularly from the Hyderabad club, reaching out to us that this is something that we want to do with you, those times we don't usually collaborate with other campuses, because it was something that they want to do in their campus, right? So we have done that too, and things are underway for the Pride Month also. But yeah, that's how we have been doing all those online challenges and having workshops and seminars. That's how we've been trying to do it now, over the last since the pandemic hit. And that's how we're trying even now in the Pride Month to work. It becomes a little difficult because the timings and all of that to match. But yeah, like it is fine, like it works.
Right. Yeah, I guess conducting activities in collaboration with other bodies at institutes would be definitely very helpful. Like Vannam Saathi is doing this in collaboration with Vannam, and Abhay said, collaboration with NSS, or you can collaborate with alumni bodies, and
We
because
do actually. We
yeah,
have our programs with the BITSA alumni sessions that happen, which is streamed for all three campuses and all of that. So yeah, we do all those things.
exactly, because institutes like ours especially thrive on the alumni networking. Uh, yeah, these kind of events definitely help keep the group running. Uh, yeah, Shika, do we have more time? Insti. Are there any questions that
Actually,
have come
we
up?
have few of the questions, so I would like you guys to.
Sorry?
We have few questions from our audience, so I would like you guys to take that.
Yeah, we can take questions now, I guess. Yeah.
So, okay. So the first question is, actually it has two parts. So I'll go with the first part first, and then I'll say second. What would be your advice for queer students in STEM institutes without a queer support group for first creating a new queer support group? So like what will be your advice for creating a new queer support group? In like Rohini also mentioned this, that we have this divide. Those institutes from poorer background or like small institutes do not have these queer groups. So what would be your advice on that?
Anyone? Priya, go ahead. Yeah, Priya.
So I'll take the privilege of being from a group which has been there for 11 years. So yeah, because we usually get a lot of such questions directly also on our official mail from different campuses and different universities and institutes who are trying to establish a club. I guess the first thing which I will just go back to what I had said in response to Anvesh's question about faculty support. I feel the first thing is to apart from recognizing amongst your peers that who are supportive peers, it is also important, given you are in a space like Education Institute, to find some support from the faculty. Yeah, and you will understand because there are today whenever and I'm not saying that it's only possible in spaces where there are humanities and social sciences. Even in STEM fields, we have a lot of professors who, while teaching, give examples of researchers or scientists who have been queer. And in IIT, I've seen even in sports club, in maths and physics club, in different places, there are discussions like this. So I guess the first thing should be, after you recognize that, you will be having a small group already, that's why you're trying to do something, trying to establish some formalized group. But I guess it's very important, and I know I'm fixating this point time and again, but I think it's very important in educational institutes to find support amongst faculty, to find that, be it teaching or non-teaching staff, to find some support amongst them, because it helps. We need to overcome the power dynamics that are there. That's why it helps to get some people on your side who are at the level who can help you negotiate with the administration. Even if you're not looking for institutionalization right away, I'm sure you will not, because you have to establish yourself. But even to exist, it is important. It is even to exist on campus, it is important to have some cordial relationship with the administration. And there, I guess faculty support really helps.
Certainly. If I can add on to that, like Priya said, even in the STEM institutes, some of the faculty would themselves be certainly queer at any organization, at any institute. And so finding support from the faculty would definitely be very helpful. And even if faculty members may not be willing to come out openly, many of them would certainly be allies, because they would have friends during their program and their peers. So finding faculty support would, I guess, be very helpful in any STEM institute. It doesn't have to be a group, and a university doesn't necessarily have to have a humanities program. Yeah.
I would like to add one point here. So during our starting, we did not have faculty support. And the first thing we did was reach out to Saathi IIT Bombay. So that helped. So reach out to campuses where the queer groups are already functioning. Social media and everything is really everywhere it is active. So they could give very useful advice on how they are functioning. So that would be really helpful. So it helped us. Ambar really helped from reaching out to Saathi IIT Bombay. Tremendously helped. So yeah, that would be another point.
So should I move to the next question? Okay,
Yeah.
so the second part of this question is, what would be your advice on how to deal with queerphobic peers?
Okay, I would like to take this because now I am in the corporate world as well, and we see like instances. I have not seen myself in my surroundings because organizations themselves are very queer friendly. But when you are, I mean, when you are encountering queer phobic people, have a dialogue. Dialogue is most important. So you have to have a dialogue, have a constructive dialogue, because getting angry and getting reactive would not help at all. So the most important thing is to have a calm and focused dialogue, that to explain to them why it is important. I mean, why these things are important, because most of the times queer phobia comes from a place of ignorance. So because they would not have met anyone, would not have heard about it. So having a dialogue is very important, and proactive dialogue would be helpful.
I like to add to that. So I completely agree that dialogue is very necessary. I think sometimes the queer person may not be mentally prepared for it or in the right state for it, and sometimes they may be very real danger of physical harm. So I think it's important to judge the situation accurately, and if it feels a danger, you can have to remove yourself also, because your mental and physical safety sometimes need to be prioritized. While dialogue can definitely happen later, I feel immediately safety should also be a priority.
And
Anyone else?
I would just like to add a small point. Like I guess Rohini mentioned, even if we are not looking for a dialogue at the outset of experiencing queer phobia, I guess authenticity to yourself, to oneself, would go a long way. I mean, because if they see how you are leading your life more authentically, and how you are not, how that is making you more uh, feel better about yourself. I mean, I guess that matters more than like explaining to a queerphobic person and making them understand. Authenticity to oneself could certainly go a long way.
Okay, so then we have one more question. Time. How to make inclusive spaces for asexuals and aromantics, as they are not usually included in the LGBTQ plus community in campuses?
So I'd like to take that up. So I definitely agree, because there's a lot of people within the queer community itself who don't consider ace aro people as part of the community. And I think in the larger discourse in India, in terms of what the general people know, they know three main terms: lesbian, gay, transgender. The other terms like say pansexual, binary are slowly coming into people's vocabulary, and asexual is one of them, which has a little slow pace. So I think the most important thing we can do is include it in conversation. So while all of our organization has sensitization sessions, you have to include ace aro as well. You can't leave them out, and you have to ensure that in case anyone makes comments within the community about anyone or about asexuality not being a real, you have to ensure it does not go without any consequences. So I think that will go a long way into inclusion.
Will anyone else like to add some points to that?
I guess that is it. I mean, like we had discussed this during the discussion. I mean, any group has to create more equal space for everyone from the community, and that includes asexuals as well. And so that should, they should find mention in in their material documentation, in the guidelines they publish for the allies. These are because we may not always find representation from asexual ace community themselves to lead the conversation, but we can always keep them included in the material, and keep it open for them to take up space and uh, own up the conversation. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all. That's all the questions I had for today. So as we have no more questions, I would like to conclude. Thank you, Anvesh, and all the panelists for that thought-provoking discussion. It was a much needed and an eye-opening session for all. We learned a lot, and I hope we all will soon make our campuses and this world a better and safer place for all. I would like to thank Anvesh for moderating the panel, all the speakers and all the organization that agreed to be a part of this. We all are extremely grateful to have you all today. Thank you so much again. So, as a part of Saathi's initiative for Pride Month, we are very excited to announce that we will be hosting the cast and crew of the most celebrated LGBTQIA plus film of the year, Sheer Korma. It is a story of passion, strife, faith, and above all, love. So join us tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. on a YouTube live with Swara Bhaskar, Priya Malik, Jitin Galati, the cast, and Faraz Ansari, the director, along with Marijika D'Souza, the producer of the film. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Good night and see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I identify as non-binary.
The cast and Faraz Ansari, the director, along with
बहुत
Marijika
पुरानी
D'Souza,
No, I don't think we are. The poster is coming up.
Oh yes.
I
Thank you so much,
identify as
guys. Thank you.
non-binary.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. Thank you, Rohini. Thank you for being here. The cast and Faraz Ansari. Have a nice day. Along with
बहुत
Marijika
पुरानी
D'Souza.
No, I don't think we are. The poster is coming up.
Oh yes.
I
Thank you so much,
identify as
guys. Thank you.
non-binary.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. Akshat, Sandalya,